Hey everybody, hope you're having a great start to your 4th of July weekend. If you hear any thunder in the background, I apologize. It decided to pop up a random thunderstorm, and I do not have a soundproof office. I'm not fortunate. I am staged in my bedroom, so you and I both are just going to have to deal with that for the time being. But today, I want to talk about resiliency and like stress and anxiety. And this will tie back a little bit into last episode of putting yourself out there, making new experiences. So, we as a society have become less resilient over time because of the sake of comfortability. Everybody wants to be more comfortable. Society has done many things, created many things to try to make people's lives easier and not have to experience much hardship, go through many traumatic events, whatever you want to call it. And we've gotten to the point where low grade stress has completely ridden us and overwhelmed us. People get so, including myself, to put that out there, people get so bent out of shape over little inconveniences like slight changes in plans or being 5 minutes late to an event or worrying about what somebody commented on your post, whether it be good or bad, worrying about what people think of you. A bunch of stuff that really, in the grand scheme of things, does not matter. And it's just completely overwhelmed us. We stay in a constant state of being stressed out, and whenever high grade stress comes, like some form of catastrophe, whether it be a natural disaster, a car accident that either you were in, somebody you know was in, or you roll up on that a complete stranger was in, it just shuts us down. Our fight, flight, or freeze kicks in, and we just freeze. We don't know what to do. We don't know what to say. We can't think clearly. And it's because of the comfortability and the lack of exposure to challenges and uncomfortable things. Everybody wants to be comfortable, as I just said. Everybody wants to have an easy life. Everybody wants to be in a climate controlled 70, 72 degree house in a 70, 72 degree car, or, obvious if it's hot or colder. Adjust your temperature and you get where you want it to be at. Everybody wants convenience, ease of access. And because of all that, we just really, really crack under pressure, especially high grade pressure, because we don't know how to deal with it. And that's something that really, as I said, myself included, but everybody needs to work on. Mike Glover's book called Prepared, it has something called the yerkes-dodson curve in it. He explains it. He explains it in a lot better detail than what I'm going to be able to explain it in. But basically what it is think of this axis being your performance and this axis being your stress. So the idea behind the curve is that the more stress you're exposed to, the better your performance. But only to a certain point. After that, it diminishes. So get more and more and more and more stress, and as you get more and more stress, you get up to this point of your top performance, the optimal level between your personal relationship with stress and performance. So this is the optimal point. Go past that stress level, add more onto it, and your performance is going to go way down. And everybody's curve is different. Some people's are higher, some people's are lower, some people's break quicker than others. And the idea is you want to build a wall to extend your peak as long as possible, as well as build your peak taller. We need to start exposing ourselves to more challenges and uncomfortable situations of all different kinds of varieties, different experiences, different skills. Pick up something that you're unfamiliar with, you're uncomfortable with. Put yourself in adverse situations and grow your ability to bounce back. Don't sit in a comfortable level of experience either. So let's just say that you are really good at shooting. You're really good at shooting, moving, communicating, as Mike put it in his book. Don't stop there. If you're good at that, add a time factor to it to stress yourself out a little bit more, challenge yourself. Add somebody yelling and screaming in your ear. Do it in the dark. Do whatever it takes to make that more challenging and better yourself. And do that with everything. If you are a cold guy, if you love the cold, hate the heat, like me, I absolutely hate the heat in the summertime. Go outside and sit out in the 90, 100 degree weather, obviously within reason. Stay hydrated, don't have a heat stroke. But go out in the heat, go out and work, go out and do physical activity and expose yourself to what you don't like. Because as much as it sucks and you want to just go back in, and obviously I'm very guilty of doing that, you're rewiring your brain and resetting your baseline level and ability to handle stress. You're making yourself better, whether you realize it or not, by exposing yourself to being uncomfortable. And obviously, the more resilient that you are, the better you will react in low and high grade stress. The less that you will freak out, you'll be able to have clearer thoughts, develop an actionable plan, and get through it and handle it. And then also be able to help and protect your family or your friends, whoever you love, whoever's with you, or even complete strangers. You'll be able to better provide and protect for all of them, and also kind of show and instruct them how to do the same thing in their lives. And regardless of that, though, everybody will freeze at some point. You have your fight, flight, or freeze response. Freeze is more of a relatively newer one that doesn't get talked about a lot. Usually people just talk about your fight or your flight, but there is a freeze. There are a lot of different scenarios and a lot of different examples where whenever high grade stress catastrophe is introduced, people will just freeze up, can't think, don't know what to do, and it may just be seconds, it may be minutes, but you just freeze. You kind of play possum. Regardless of how high and extended your curve is and how big the wall is that you built, everybody will freeze at some point. But the higher that your wall is, the further that your wall is, and the more things that you've exposed yourself to, the more challenges you've exposed yourself to, the more you've made yourself uncomfortable and are comfortable with being uncomfortable, the quicker it will bridge the gap and put you back in the fight. It may turn 10 seconds into 5 seconds, and you'll be able to snap back out of it, get back, tell yourself you're okay, you're going to make it, and get back in the fight and get things done. Make decisions. That could be the difference between life or death. You can do that with anything. Catastrophe could strike in any different number of ways. Car accidents, natural disasters, whatever. I think I just repeated myself. But the more resilient you are, obviously, the better you are suited to deal with those situations and those could be a once in a lifetime thing. You never know when a high grade catastrophe is going to happen to you. And it may never. And Lord willing, it never will. I know that's not realistic, but Lord willing, it never will. But even if it never does, having that level of resilience will help you just in your everyday life with low grade resilience. As I said, like to quote Mike's book, if you can get comfortable with being uncomfortable, you will be completely fine in anything that life throws at you. Like I said, there will always be a point that you'll freeze and you'll not know what to do, but the better suited you are, the more exposed you are, the more resilient you are, just the better life will really become, in my opinion. I've tried to do those things, practice all that, practice what I'm preaching myself in my own life, and I can say that I'm a whole lot happier in doing so because I'm a lot more confident with different things that are thrown at me. And I should maybe repeat myself again on this. My thoughts are a little bit everywhere. I'm kind of tired, not gonna lie. But even if the things that you're exposing yourself to does not relate to the high grade curveball that is thrown at you, just the simple fact that you have exposed yourself to being uncomfortable and exposed yourself to challenging adverse situations, that will be what helps bridge that gap. It doesn't have to be training for every specific situation, although it's great if you do. Just as a whole, as an average, exposing yourself in any kind of way will help out across the board. There's really no downside to doing it. I get wanting to be comfortable. I want to be comfortable. I hate being uncomfortable, especially like I said with heat. God, it has been so hot this summer and I can't stand it. I want to move to well up north. I want to move to like the Arctic Circle. I hate heat. But I have to get out there and I have to work in it every day. And the more that I've worked in it, the more acclimated I get to it, the less I bitch and complain about it. Well, okay, no, that's a lie. I still bitch and complain about it. But the better I can handle it. And the better it makes me for everything else. And it's simple things like that. Like I said, it could be going and taking a cold shower in the morning if you hate the cold. It could be making yourself get up an hour or two earlier if you hate getting up in the mornings. Just discipline. Being disciplined, exposing yourself to all these different things, different skill sets, building those skill sets, and never staying at a comfortable level. Always getting out of your comfort zone. It's just the most important thing. I know I was kind of all over the place with that. I think this is a little bit shorter of an episode. Hopefully you got something out of it. Like I said, my brain is usually scattered. So, like a dog chasing a squirrel, and I see a car, and then I see a rabbit. It is what it is. But all that being said, hope you got something out of it. To talk a little bit more about Mike Glover's book. So I went to a book release party that he had yesterday in Nashville, Tennessee. I got to meet Mike himself. I got to meet Casey Hildreth, who is the tactical training advisor over at Fieldcraft, and I forgot if I said, but Mike Glover is the owner of Fieldcraft Survival. I got to meet Casey's wife, Erica, who is the current Miss Kentucky. They're all phenomenal people. I love everything that they do and that they stand for. I love what they do with the company, what they promote and try to bring to the table and put out there for everybody. Highly recommend going out and picking up Mike's book. It basically just lays out a lot more in depth than I did, ways to, and of course, full disclosure, I pulled from what I've read out of this book to kind of put out there and explain today. But I digress. His book really lays out ways to build your mindset, get in the right mindset, which the mindset being resilience, and build your resilience a lot more in depth than how I explained it. Ways to form actionable plans to combine the two, and just gives you a really, really good guide to being prepared for catastrophe, being prepared in general, and just being a more overall resilient and better person, and being your own first responder. I'm about a quarter of the way through the book so far. Couldn't recommend it more. It's a very, very good read so far. So definitely go pick up the book, go support the company, support his channels, all the things. As I said, they're really great people. I only had a couple minute interactions with them, but even from that, you just tell that they are very genuine and care about what they're doing. They're not a lot of these other people are just kind of in it for the money or in it for the fame, whatever. They want people to be better versions of themselves and be more reliant on themselves. And they just really believe in what they do. And like I said, I just couldn't ask for a better experience. Also, during that event, I got to meet Keelan Darby, who is the wife of Ben Darby, who was a Huntsville police officer. And back in, like, if you're not familiar with the story, back in 2018, I believe, Ben was very wrongfully convicted of murder. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail on the case and the trial and all that stuff. I'd encourage you to go dig for that yourself or read up on it. But very wrongfully convicted of murder, and they are still in a fight to get that overturned, get him back home. And it was very sobering and shocking to hear that story because, as I said, he was a Huntsville, Alabama police officer. So, as I've said, I'm from Northwest Alabama, and that's not something that you would expect around here. You would not expect a police officer doing his job and doing nothing wrong and having the body camera footage and everything to prove it. You would not expect him to be wrongfully convicted, especially not down here. I know in other places of the country, that's not the case. There's like a bounty out for police officers, but you just wouldn't expect that here. But it happened, and it's ongoing. The fight is still very alive to get him free and get him back home and clear his name. So as I said, highly recommend go check into his story. Go, even if it's just words of encouragement, go send your support their way. Like I said, I met Ben's wife, Keelan, and very great woman. Very thankful for all that they do. And yeah, just go send your love and your support their way. Also yesterday, it was a very eventful day yesterday. I also bought the dual sport bike that I was talking about getting in the last episode. It is a Kawasaki KLR 650S because, I'm a short, tiny little human. And I needed something that was a little bit lower to the ground because the regular 650 was just a little bit too tall. This one, like I said, about 2 inches shorter, a lot more manageable. Love riding it. I have an absolute blast on the thing. And I plan on very soon having the content from the bike out, which I'm going to have to invest in a GoPro, whatever else, to actually be able to get footage and show the adventures that I'm going on. But the biggest obstacle has been overcome. I have the bike, so that's the most important thing. And I am out there actively trying to not die on it. Don't know if you just heard that, just real big thunderclap. Thunderstorm picked back up. You gotta love bipolar Alabama weather. But all that being said, I hope you guys have a great 4th of July weekend, a great 4th of July. Everybody be safe out there. Have fun, but be safe. And that's really all I have. See y'all.